In 2009, this man was a high school dropout, battling alcoholism and spending 10 hours a day in a Brazilian tire shop. Fast forward to 2026. That same man will be standing in front of the White House, looking to do something that John Jones, Khabib, and GSP never even attempted. We've seen double champs, very impressive achievement in the UFC, but we have never seen a man walk into 3 different weight classes and take everything by force in less than 5 years. Think about how insane this is. Only 5 years. Most fighters spend their entire lives chasing UFC top 15, and if they are the best, the crown of the career is 1 belt. But Alex Pereira, he conquered middleweight, light heavyweight, and now he's vacated his belt to take the one thing no human being has ever achieved: the Triple Crown. A 3rd world title in a 3rd weight class. He fights Cyril Gane, and if he wins, the GOAT debate will get one very strong candidate. But it won't be easy, and we will talk about that in this video. But first, we need to take a look at the beginning of his career and his life. Long before UFC belts and all the money, Alex Pereira was a failed case. He dropped out of school, and by his teens, he was working 10 hours a day in a Brazilian tire shop, fueled by a literal gallon of cachaça, national Brazilian drink, every single day. He was a functional alcoholic, not a martial artist. But everything changed when he started kickboxing, which was his way to stop drinking. He didn't start fighting to chase the UFC dreams, he did it just to survive in a cruel world. Everything changed when he discovered his gift: the stone hands. It wasn't just regular power. He would knock out people without even trying. In a very short period, Poatan rose through the kickboxing ranks and climbed to be glory champion, while beating Israel Adesanya twice along the way. Of course, there is a lot to this story and their rivalry, which became legendary in combat sports, and we can cover that in another video. But here, we will talk specifically about Pereira. He transitioned to the UFC in 2021 after reaching the top in glory kickboxing. Rags to riches. UFC, baby. The main reason for this transition was to test himself in MMA. But of course, his move was also driven by this big rivalry with the middleweight champion at that moment, Adesanya himself. His debut in the MMA was against Greek fighter Andreas Michailidis. Poatan knocked him out cold with the flying knee. Then, win by decision against Bruno Silva, and a win by knockout against Sean Strickland. Next was the final boss of the middleweight. He earned his first belt by knocking out Izzy in the 5th round. Fun fact, he was losing that fight. He knew he had to use stone hands to knock him out in the 5th, and he did. 6 months later was the rematch, and Israel Adesanya reclaimed the middleweight title by knockout in the 2nd round. This was probably the worst defeat in Alex Pereira's career. Yes, he had 2 wins in kickboxing against Izzy, and he had already beaten him once in MMA, but in their final fight, he lost by knockout, which is, by the way, the only one in his MMA career. Alex Pereira, now the former middleweight champion, decided to move up in weight classes. In June 2023, Jiří Procházka submitted Glover Teixeira to claim light heavyweight title, and, as you can already guess, Pereira wanted that title. So just 3 months after Adesanya knocked him out, he beat Jan Blachowicz and secured the title shot against Jiří for November 2023. By the way, only 7 months after the Adesanya loss. Pereira's performance in that fight was amazing. He didn't let Jiří exit the 2nd round, and with less than a minute on the clock, he earned win by TKO, elbowing the shit out of our samurai. That was a joke. I love Jiří, of course, so I have very mixed feelings about that. Pereira had 3 title defenses after that at light heavyweight, but in March 2025, he lost the title to Magomed Ankalaev. Pereira claimed he was sick and that he wasn't on 100% entering the fight. The MMA world was ready to write him off, calling the sick excuse a cope. Because of that, Poatan had to do what he does the best: prove everyone who doubts him wrong. He got the rematch, and in October 2025, he knocked Ankalaev out in the first 2 minutes of the 1st round, reclaiming his light heavy belt. But that brings us to right now. For the past 5 years, we've watched Alex Pereira defy every law of physics and logic in this sport. I don't want this to sound cliche, but he's made the impossible look like just another day at the gym. But his latest move is the craziest yet. In February, Dana White dropped the bombshell. Pereira was vacating his 205-pound throne. He's moving up to the land of the heavyweight. There are so many questions here. Cardio, age, chin. In heavyweight, those are very different. The event is our controversial UFC Freedom 250, June 14th, the South Lawn of the White House. It is quite literally the biggest stage in the history of the world, and Alex Pereira is standing on the doorstep of the Triple Crown. There is nothing in front of him, only a 250-pound technical nightmare named Ciryl Gane. Don't fool yourself, like some casuals are. This is not an easy fight for Pereira. Without a doubt, this is the most dangerous matchup of Poatan's life. We've all seen that Alex has the power to put giants to sleep, but Gane isn't the classic heavyweight fighter. He is a heavyweight who is highly skilled and moves like a point fighter. Let's check the scenarios. For Ciryl Gane, the path to victory is hit and don't get hit. Gane is arguably one of the most athletic heavyweights we've ever seen. He moves like a middleweight, using a fencing style, entering with a jab or calf kick and pivoting out before you can even load up your counter. If Gane stays disciplined, he can pick Alex apart from the outside, using his 81-inch reach to keep the stone hands at bay. His size and chin will most likely allow him to take some hard hits. He was never knocked out. His goal is to drag Pereira into the deep waters of the championship rounds where the extra weight might start to feel a lot heavier. But for Alex Pereira, the strategy is much more violent. Alex doesn't need a high volume of strikes. We know that he just needs one mistake, one slip from his opponent. His secret weapon isn't just the left hook, it is also the calf kick. If Alex can compromise Gane's lead leg in the first 2 rounds, he takes away Gane's greatest asset, his mobility. Once Gane's feet slow down, he becomes a stationary target. We've seen it time and again. If you stay in front of Alex Pereira for even a split second too long, the lights go out. Shama. Personally, I think this is the most dangerous fight of Alex's career. He's jumping into a division where the power is different and the margins are thinner. All heavyweights hit hard, but Pereira has spent his entire life proving that impossible is just a word for people who haven't met him yet. If Alex walks out of the White House with that 3rd belt, that will be incredible. But will it happen? We will see in June. And if you're wondering why this White House event is controversial, and how the whole card looks, make sure to check the video that appeared on screen to find out.